Today's story is about Jie-sin, an ordinary guy who possesses a strange power. Just by putting on his glasses, he can see the hidden truths of this world. It turns out that this world has long been infiltrated by countless demons. They disguise themselves and live like normal humans. But anyone who sees and fears their true form will not survive intact. More than that, Jie-sin always dreams of a strange girl. In his dreams, she always says she will wait for him. To find that girl, he must, but never mind. Ed is so sleepy. The story has ended and Ed is done with everything. Let's all heal together with this masterpiece. The scene before him was mystical and enchanting. An ancient city stretching alongside a peaceful river. On a stone on the bridge stood a slender young woman with fiery red hair blowing in the wind. Her eyes gazed into the distance. Then she gently smiled and said, "I will wait." The phone rang loudly in the quiet early morning. Jie-sin lay still on the bed, eyes not fully open, but his heart weighed down by a familiar feeling. He thought to himself again, it's that dream again. Reluctantly reaching to answer, a hurried voice shot out early in the morning, "Ajin," making him respond tiredly and curtly, "What?" The person on the other end hurriedly said, "What else you're still sleeping at this hour? Can you open your eyes or not? The reason your books don't sell well is because of your laziness." He frowned and snapped back, "What does that have to do with you?" Jie-sin started to get out of bed. The other continued nagging, "Anyway, I called just to see if you're still alive. There have been a lot of mysterious child disappearances in the news recently. You're no different from a kid, so I called just to be sure. If you're home alone, remember to lock the door carefully." Hearing the mocking tone, Jie-sin angrily shouted, "I'm hanging up now." The other person sounded a bit scared. "Calm down, don't get mad, I have something serious to tell you." Jie-sin locked the door while replying, "If it's about me writing articles for your website again, then forget it." The other person answered, surprised, "What? No, it's not about that. Is there something wrong with my website that you say that?" He walked into the bathroom and said, "Not just the website, because I know your company is facing a lot of complicated issues, so don't try to drag me down with you anymore." Hearing that, he laughed happily and replied, "You're so harsh. It's true my company is struggling financially right now, but you're not doing any better. You might not even pay rent this month and end up sleeping on the street, huh? Just kidding, so you don't have time to be lazy anymore." Jie-sin casually replied, "Sorry, I'm just used to being lazy." The other person clicked his tongue. "You should try being a bit friendlier. That's why you've only ever had one friend, me. Even back at the orphanage, it was the same. You only ever talked to the matron. Honestly, watching you act cold to others is really entertaining." He kept poking fun at him, seeing that he was getting a rise out of Jie-sin. Jie-sin snapped back, "I'm really hanging up now." This made the other guy panic and try to keep the conversation going. "Hey, wait a minute. I said I really have something to tell you. My friend's company is hiring a temporary position. Just moving stuff for one day." Jie-sin was about to refuse his best friend's offer, "No." Before he could finish, the other quickly added, "Double pay." This made Jie-sin pause for a moment. The person on the phone eagerly added, "So, you're in right. Sometimes you have to get out and get some fresh air." The blue sky with fluffy white clouds floated above the towering skyscrapers. Jie-sin cursed loudly. This guy is really annoying. But then he had to accept the reality that he really needed to pay rent. Well, might as well drag myself to work. Walking leisurely down the street, suddenly a voice called him, "Hey, young man." He looked toward the voice. "Me." Jie-sin pointed to himself. "Me." The old woman replied, "Yes, that's you." The fortune teller smiled brightly, her face as radiant as a flower about to hit the jackpot beckoning him. "We must have some good fate together. Do you want to have your fortune told? I'm very accurate, you know." Not feeling sympathetic without much thought, he coldly uttered a single sharp word, colder than ice. "No." This startled the fortune teller, as if she'd received a reversed reading. "Why?" And he bluntly continued, "I don't believe in superstitions like this." The fortune teller then tried hard to persuade him to stay and get his fortune told. "Oh, come on, this isn't superstition, it's science. Don't you understand?" Jie-sin casually walked past her booth, repeatedly denying, "I don't see how this superstition can be science." The fortune teller earnestly advised him, "Come on, don't be like that. Just try it once before you judge." But he kept refusing, "No thanks," leaving. The fortune teller clicked her tongue and said casually, "Well, then I'll give you a free reading. If it turns out right, you can come back to find me later." This made Jia-sin a bit uneasy, silently cursing himself. This is definitely a scam. Then the fortune teller said something puzzling. "What you're looking for lies in the hollow of a tree root." Ji-sin suddenly turned to look at her. It made him feel a bit confused and suspicious, so he asked, "I'm not looking for anything, though." The fortune teller answered calmly, "Oh, really?" But she was still very sure of her opinion. Strange, there must be something right. At this point, Jia-sin wanted to leave quickly. Fine, I knew it was a scam. What a waste of time. At the outdoor market, there were stalls selling food and souvenirs. A voice urged him, "All right, just leave them here for now. Take a break for a bit while you can. You just finished working." Ji-sin wearily plopped down on a chair to rest. He sighed, deeply exhausted. Suddenly, a voice beside him caught his attention. Hey, your name is Jia-sin, right?" A young woman with glasses and a short, trendy haircut appeared. "You've worked hard. Here, have some water." He hesitated, but thanked her. As he was leaving, the female colleague beside her gleefully said, "Uh-huh, so you're into him now, huh?" The girl with glasses quickly denied, "Huh, what nonsense are you talking about? I just saw he looked a bit tired and wanted to help a little." The other female colleague replied, "But have you ever been that nice to any other staff?" The two were chatting, unaware that Jia-sin had overheard everything. He looked skeptically at the soda can the girl with glasses had just given him. 4 more hours to go. Jai-sin immediately ran back to work without wasting a second. Why does time always drag when you're working? A moment later, suddenly a loud voice shouted as if scolding someone. "What do you think you're doing? How could you lose the USB with the client list? Go find it now." Just as Jai-sin was carrying boxes, he overheard the entire conversation. A middle-aged man in a blue shirt, apparently the supervisor of the girl with glasses, ordered her to have everyone help look for it. The girl bowed her head and obeyed, saying, "Yes." The man then turned and left, but didn't forget to reprimand her. "Poor thing, next week is the deadline. I don't know what you're thinking." This made her gloomy and sad. Her colleagues were no better off. Then the girl with glasses asked for help from the other co-workers. "So I hope everyone can stop what they're doing and help me find that USB, please." Everyone responded in unison, "All right." The search for the USB started quickly. Among them, a guy dressed all in red couldn't stand it and swore, "Damn demon. How the hell are we supposed to find that tiny thing in the middle of a market like this?" Jai-sin also joined the search and suddenly noticed something. He looked down. On the ground were many footprints that looked like bird tracks. The footprints led to a nearby tree root. Looking at the clearly imprinted tracks on the ground, he thought to himself, "What kind of trace is this?" Bird footprints. The more he looked, the stranger it felt, but he couldn't explain it. How the heck is there a hollow here? Jai-sin suddenly remembered the fortune teller's words that what he was looking for was inside the hollow of a root. Although a bit doubtful about the old woman's words, he still bent down to check, just to be sure. Could there really be something inside here? Looking inside the tree hollow, there really was a USB lying there, which surprised him. A USB. So after finding the USB, Ji-sin quickly went to the fortune teller's booth. Seeing him return, the fortune teller clapped excitedly to welcome him. "Welcome back." Jia-sin silently sat in front of her. The fortune teller was very focused on her work. "So what do you want to see? Feel free to ask." He pondered silently for a while, then finally spoke out what was on his mind. "I had a very strange dream. Up until now, I can't even remember how many times I've had that dream. I dreamt that I always met the same person in the same place." Jia-sin recalled the repeated dream scenes. "I don't know her name, nor can I clearly remember her face, but she always repeated one sentence. The image of the girl with bright hair smiling radiantly in broad daylight. I will wait." At this point, Jia-sin paused briefly, then continued. "I don't know anything about her. Why would she wait for me? So I wanted to ask if you could..." Before he could finish, the old lady cut him off, replying, "I don't know." Her words left Jia-sin stunned. "Why do you think I can answer everything?" The fortune teller then hit the sore spot. "Your question is ridiculous, you know. How on earth could I find someone for you if you don't even know your own name? Is this your first time seeing a fortune teller?" That made Jia-sin exclaim, "Huh." Then the fortune teller began spreading white rice on the table. "If you want to know more about her, it's best to bring her name and date of birth here. Otherwise, ask a different question." That made him go pale. He just realized he'd been played hard by the old lady. Was I just tricked? The fortune teller beamed. Come to see fortune, let's see. But Jia-sin had had enough and finally decided to leave. Enough already, I'm going home. Just as he turned to leave, the fortune teller asked, why didn't you bring your eyes with you? Hearing that, he asked, confused, what? Jia-sin answered casually, as if it was obvious, my eyes are on my face. But the old lady denied, not those, but the eyes that see the truth. At this, he seemed to realize the meaning behind her words. You mean... Jia-sin suddenly recalled a memory from his childhood. It seemed like it was not a good memory. Thinking of this, his face changed color as if he saw something terrifying. Then Jia-sin immediately turned back to continue. Continue what you were saying earlier. He couldn't help but wonder how she knew. The fortune teller just smiled and pointed out to him, always carry those eyes with you. Soon enough, you will definitely need them. Without them, you will surely perish. The old lady continued, stay calm and trust what you see through those eyes. At least that will help you live a little longer. And again, you want to find someone, right? If you want to find her, don't run away from your fate anymore. Hearing this, Jia-sin's pupils suddenly dilated. Then the fortune teller said, hold out both your hands, let me borrow them for a moment. He was confused and let out a small sound but followed her instruction. He held out both hands. The fortune teller carefully grabbed his wrists and felt them. After the examination, she released his wrists. Seeing the strange action, Jia-sin asked, what are you going to do? The old lady replied with a dangerous tone, I hope this will be useful to you. Noticing the unusual tone in her voice, Jia-sin silently thought, yeah, her voice does sound different. But then her voice returned to normal and she continued, all right now for the most important part. That made Jia-sin's expression drop further. The fortune teller snapped back, money of course, mister. That made Jia-sin freeze stiff and dumbfounded, thinking silently, it can't be. So Jia-sin pulled out his bank card to pay her, swiped the card. That left the old lady silent for a moment. Outside, the sky was already darkening into sunset. After returning home, Jia-sin opened the drawer. Inside was the red glasses neatly placed. He took the glasses out and examined them for a long time. It had been a while since the last time he wore them. While looking at them, suddenly, an unexpected call rang. Jia-sin picked up the phone, and on the screen appeared the message, Sister Lo found your brother, pick up and listen again. What now? Then the girl with red glasses blushed and thanked him. Thank you for agreeing. Yesterday I didn't get a chance to properly thank you. You really saved my life. Jia-sin politely replied, it's not that big a deal, I just happened to find it. Hearing that, the girl was surprised and said, really? I heard people say you found it under a tree. How did you know it was there? I don't even know how I found it, he said, trying to brush it off. I'm not really sure either. To thank you for finding the USB earlier, she suggested. I want to invite you to dinner to express my gratitude. Let's have dinner here. But this made Cho Jia-sin a bit embarrassed and uncomfortable. No need to make it complicated, a coffee like this is enough. Before he could finish, the girl suddenly got a call. Sorry, I need to take this call. She turned and went upstairs to take the call where many paintings were displayed. While waiting, you can go up and take a look around. Then she picked up the phone, yes, boss. This made Cho Jia-sin feel awkward and he sighed heavily. Suddenly, he remembered his best friend's words. I don't know, but she insists on thanking you. Just treat this as fate. Jia-sin immediately stood up. Seriously, no need to make a big deal out of it. So the cup of coffee on the table was still steaming. Somehow Jia-sin still listened to the girl with glasses. He immediately went upstairs where many famous paintings were displayed. Now he couldn't just leave like that. What a hassle. He glanced at the paintings on the wall and quickly skimmed through them. I don't understand anything about this complicated art stuff. This kind of thing isn't for me. Suddenly, Jia-sin stopped beside a large old painting depicting children playing together. He looked up at the painting and pondered thoughtfully. He lifted his head to look at the painting and suddenly a blurry image appeared in his mind. I think I've seen this somewhere before. A spark lit up in his eyes. A memory thought long buried quietly crept back. It was the girl with fiery red hair smiling at him. I will wait for your pupils to dilate. An old image from some year flashed before Cho Tim, making him miss a beat. The young woman seemed to be waiting for him standing on that bridge. The more he looked at the painting on the wall, the more stunned he became. Jia-sin increasingly felt that this must be the place he had seen in a dream. Suddenly he noticed something at the bottom of the painting, the image of children playing together, but some were too small to see clearly. He furrowed his brow, trying to see the painting clearly, but couldn't make out anything. He happened to notice the glasses hanging on his shirt collar, so Jia-sin put them on to take a closer look. "Let me try wearing these. Maybe I'll see something." "I doubt that," Ha-Jia-sin said, focusing intently on the painting. Suddenly, from behind him, the girl with glasses returned after the call and saw him concentrating on the painting. "I can't help but say something. Judging by how interested you are in this painting, you must know a thing or two about art." Jia-sin looked up and turned toward the voice. "Oh, do you know something about this painting? Of course, I'm the one who brought this painting here." But when Jia-sin turned, there was no girl with glasses, only a giant bird standing beside him speaking, making Cho unable to believe his eyes. His head filled with question marks, he stood frozen. What appeared before him couldn't be real. Could his eyes be deceiving him? A cold chill ran down his spine, goosebumps slowly rising. His hands trembled uncontrollably, as if they no longer belonged to him. Jia-sin instinctively stepped back, his heart pounding in his throat veins, thumping wildly in his ears. His hands shook so much he could barely feel his own skin. He bit his lip, trying to keep calm. What monster? "It's definitely the same voice." The girl with glasses didn't notice that her true identity had been seen through. She continued telling Jia-sin, "This painting originally belonged to Johnson, created for a Zen master who had the ability to travel through paintings. Anyone who follows that Zen master gets trapped inside this painting forever." Jia-sin kept looking at her in monster form. "Rumor has it those trapped in the painting are still alive to this day. Could it be that the painting is just incredibly realistic?" She kept babbling non-stop, but Jia-sin couldn't stay calm. But Jay tried to keep a calm tone, pretending to listen attentively, while inside everything was burning up. His heart raced wildly, chills ran down his spine, and panic tore apart every thought barely forming. He couldn't focus, but he still smiled and responded to her as if nothing was happening, though every word trembled slightly as if coming through a dry throat. Probably so. Suddenly, Jia-sin noticed something. He glanced down. Below were the feet of the girl with glasses in monster form, making him sweat coldly as he thought to himself, "This looks exactly like the crow's feet I saw back then." Realizing a truth, he panicked silently. So she is the culprit. His eyes were wide with panic, unable to focus anywhere else. His lips pressed together as if wanting to say something but couldn't utter a word. A feeling of confusion, as if everything was cornering him into darkness. Questions echoed endlessly in his mind, but he couldn't find any answers. What should I do now at this critical moment, hanging by a thread? Jia-sin recalled the words the fortune-teller once told him. "Always carry those eyes with you, eyes that see the truth. Calm down and trust what you see through those eyes." Those words entered his mind like a beam of light. All the chaos gradually receded. The fear surrounding him was like the night wind slipping through a thin shirt, cold to the bone. But he stood firm like an ancient tree in a storm deeply rooted in the earth. His body swayed but did not break. He carefully looked up, staring at her. Confused by his strange behavior, she asked curiously, "What's wrong?" Shin hummed a few times, then blurted everything out. "It's just that living with humans is a bit hard for you, right?" She slowly turned her head to look at him. Not slowly, not blinking in surprise. Her round black eyes silently looked at him, neither angry nor surprised. A glimmer of life flickered for a moment. He didn't know if he was facing a sentient creature or just an empty shell stuffed with flesh and standing upright. Instinctively, the air in the room suddenly thickened. He felt as if his identity was being stripped away piece by piece in silence. A chill at the nape of his neck, not from weather, but from a mind not of this world. A sound, a warning. But every cell in his body screamed an instinctual cry, reserved for those facing something forbidden to exist in this world. Am I doing the right thing or wrong? His large, black coal-like eyes locked onto him intensely. A twitch, a slight muscle jerk, while his heart began pounding as if about to tear his chest apart. She tilted her head at an odd angle, just like a bird watching its dying prey. Her mouth opened, not quite matching the voice that came out, as if the sound came from somewhere deeper, farther away. "Do you recognize me?" She looked at him with cloudy eyes like glass soaked in blood for too long. Her head nodded. Wings puffed up like the stuffed body of a crooked stuffed owl. "You're a monster too." No wonder that phrase didn't come from her mouth, but silently leaked from every pore, every feather, every misplaced tooth. A smile without showing teeth or opening her mouth, appearing on places where facial muscles shouldn't be. "I thought a human like you would have discovered that I stole this. Luckily you're not human, otherwise it would be a big problem." Even though she admitted she was a monster, he still couldn't calm down. His heartbeat was still pounding fiercely inside his chest as if resisting a siege. Every breath felt like ripping his throat apart. He stammered, "Is that so?" He sighed with relief, feeling safe inside. The demon had to try to stay calm and speak naturally with her. So Jason pointed at the ancient architectural painting. "By the way, the architecture looks like a temple or something." She tilted her head slightly. The sound of cracking joints echoed harshly. She looked at him without blinking once. Didn't he know the Naniak temple was strange? Her voice came out evenly, like a machine speaking from a skull. No delay, no emotion. Under that gaze, he no longer felt like he was facing a living creature, but something that had once been alive, drained of its soul, leaving only a raw, still-moving shell. An ancient instinct told him he had just said too much. Jason quickly brushed it off. "Everything's right, I remember now. I just forgot because it's been so long." "You said the people inside this painting are all real, right?" The girl with glasses replied, "That's right. The kids inside the painting you're looking at. They're all people I caught and locked in there to obtain. It took quite a bit of time to catch this many, but I still have to catch many more if I want to fill this painting. There's nothing more interesting than collecting these kids, right?" Hearing her say this, Jason could hardly believe his eyes. He raised his eyes toward the painting of children and couldn't believe it. "Are these really all living people?" He stood frozen. His back turned icy cold, his neck stiffened. "Oh, that kid just moved." Suddenly, Jia-Sin recalled the news reporting many mysterious child disappearances lately. She stared at him but said nothing. Her face was cold as wax. Her indifferent gaze passed by like the wind through a crack. Jason felt uneasy, thinking silently that he must save the kids, but how? So he tried to brush everything aside. That's right. He tried to steady his breathing, each breath shallow, barely enough oxygen. So there must be some way to pull them out, right? Curious, huh? You're human, right? The question was soft, but for a moment the air seemed frozen. She looked at him through thin glasses without blinking, as if peeling him away layer by layer with her gaze. His eyes sparked a small but clear tremor like the first crack in thin ice. Sweat began to trickle down his cheek, cold as needles. His head bowed low like a wild beast before pouncing on prey. His large black eyes appeared like bottomless pits, empty yet full of menace. That gaze pierced through flesh, dissecting every trembling muscle and every cold drop of sweat flowing backward into the spine of his opponent. Her voice came out low, cold, and hissed through her teeth like claws scraping metal. I see no wonder I felt something was off. The wooden floor cracked underfoot. Her footsteps echoed on the ground. Her weight, without warning, without notice, just a cold, raised hand. A touch seemingly light as a feather, but the next second the man's whole body was pressed against the rotted wooden chair, shattering it. Shards flew like fireworks. The cold blood on the wall, cracked lime dust rose thickly, as if the very space was distorted by the power of this tiny girl. His throat tightened, air vanished from his chest. Cold hands gripped tightly, pulling each heartbeat into the abyss of fear. His eyes widened, sparkling with tears, not from pain but from horror, his body struggling in despair. She was too strong. Opposite him, the one overpowering him did not roar or prove her strength, just a light sentence cold enough to freeze his soul. "A fool like you who lies so badly. How do you think you recognized me?" She stared intently at him, then her voice rose deep and hoarse like tearing from a rotten throat, piercing down to the bone. "You want to know how to pull them out of the painting? There's no way. If there is only Jong-sun knows." Her hand, cold as a corpse, gripped his neck. Her dark red hair like red syrup tilted slightly. Her sharp eyes like razor blades shining with a strange delight. A voice rose softly like a breeze, but was full of murderous intent. "Chills down my spine. I'm about to shove you into the painting. This is too convenient." His eyes widened in panic, but he couldn't resist. The only thing left on his face was absolute terror, as if his very soul had been stamped and sent straight into the void. The hand gripping his neck was icy cold, like an iron hook piercing deep into flesh. His whole body pressed against the stone-hard wall, his spine bent nearly in half from the force breath choking in his throat, lips trembling, only managing a broken, desperate "ugh." His eyes behind red-rimmed glasses gradually blurred, whether from fear or lack of blood flow to the brain, no one knew. Realizing he was about to be shoved into the painting time, shattered into silent cutting fragments. His eyes were two shards of glass cracking, reflecting humanity's most primal fear, death. The final words rang out like a tolling bell from the abyss. "Is this really the end?" His eyes slowly dimmed the light in his pupils like a candle about to be extinguished by a fierce wind. The scenery blurred, then vanished, as if swallowed by a bottomless, pitch-black, overwhelming abyss. But then the light from the red-haired maiden, even her radiant smile, awakened him. All right. Gathering all remaining strength, his trembling arm reached up to firmly grab the wrist, choking him. No, I'm not allowed to give up. A blue light began to glow on his arm, shocking her before she realized who he was. Strange light emitted from his arm, glowing blue, strange characters ran along his skin like a curse etched into his flesh. A bizarre system of glowing blue symbols flared intensely, recognizing what it was. She screamed in horror. That's the mark of exile. That is... scared me to death. She hurriedly released Jaya-Sin. It's the mark of exile. She quickly revealed her true form and took off flying. Cursed. I will be cursed. She darted outside, vanishing in a flash, leaving Jia-Sin sitting on the ground, clutching his compressed throat, which immediately expanded, letting a rush of air surge into his brain. After a few seconds of oxygen deprivation, he received the vital life supply, but the after effects remained dizziness, trembling, bulging veins beneath the skin about to burst, throat soreness, vocal cords nearly paralyzed from the pressure of the mark. Jai-Sin looked at the strange ancient symbols on his bicep, anxiously thinking, is this a curse? Where did I get this from? He suddenly remembered what the fortune teller once told him. Hopefully this will be useful to you. Jai-Sin scratched his head in confusion, pondering, was that fortune teller really a fraud? Thanks to it I kept my life, but unfortunately it's also a curse. At that moment, he recalled memories he thought were buried deep in his heart. Then a blood-covered hand tried to call his name Jia-Sin. Always blaming himself for the misfortunes with the last bit of strength, that hand reached up gently to touch Jia-Sin's cheek as a comfort. It left a warm blood stain like a mark of a final promise in ragged breaths. The person moved their lips, but at least this once. Blood spread across the floor like withered petals crushed in a violent rain, along with countless motionless corpses lying on the cold, blood-stained street. A woman lay still, her eyes closed, long lashes casting shadows over shattered glasses. Behind her, 10 bodies piled on each other like a silent, mournful, hellish painting. Amid the whistling wind over the still wet red syrup, words rang out like a last testament, "Don't blame yourself for anything." Ending the flashback, Jaya-Sin clutched his head in despair. "Captain, what should I do now?" Suddenly, he remembered something and quickly stood up, looking toward the painting hanging on the wall. Right, the kids. Were all the missing kids inside here? Jai-Sin recalled what she had said. There's no way. If there is only Hua Jong-sun knows. He clenched his teeth, remembering the terrifying scene from his childhood. Jai-Sin desperately punched the painting hard, grinding his teeth. Again, once more, I'm powerless. He shut his eyes, tightly miserable, as if ready to give up. I can't do anything. Suddenly, his hand passed through the painting, cutting his face. Jai-Sin nervously searched inside the painting. It feels like I'm touching something. He quickly pulled it out. What he grabbed was a child's arm. He put the kid down, dropping the bag on the floor. That made Jessica even more confused and stressed. What is that? I actually pulled the kid out. Next on the news, the missing children we reported in previous news segments have been found at an art exhibition cafe in District 20. The news continued to actively deliver fresh updates to the public. Added to that, all the security cameras in the area mysteriously malfunctioned. Jai-Sin returned home after the incident. He quickly turned on his computer to check the news. He couldn't help but feel a sigh of relief. Luckily, there was no mention of him. Getting involved in this mess would ruin his entire youth. Lucky that he escaped the scene quickly. Jaya-Sin bent down thoughtfully, looking at the 2 arms covered in ancient symbols. He rubbed and squeezed the marks. On the computer screen appeared a web article about the mysterious Naniak legend being mentioned once again. He silently told himself maybe he should leave. But Jia-Sin remembered the fortune teller's words. If you want to find her, don't run away from your destiny anymore. Remembering the fortune teller's words, he recalled that old lady. Right? He had completely forgotten. So Jia-Sin quickly packed his things and went out to find that fortune teller. I have to meet her. There are too many things I need to ask. He hurried to the place where he first met the old lady. But strangely, after arriving, the fortune teller was nowhere to be found. He wondered in confusion, where is she? Could it be she's off today? As he stood there talking to himself, a kind old man behind him asked, Who are you looking for, young man? Seeing this, Jia-Sin turned to ask the old man. Yes, can I ask if you know where the fortune teller who used to sit here has gone? Hearing that, the old man looked puzzled. Then he revealed a shocking fact that Jia-Sin couldn't believe. What nonsense are you talking about? He has worked in this area for 15 years. He has never seen any fortune teller sitting here. That stunned Jia-Sin for a moment. But he still tried to give the old man valuable information. A few days ago, I met her. She looked a bit chubby and middle-aged, wearing a bunch of sparkling jewelry. The more he spoke, the more confused the old man became. This place is so bad, even homeless people avoid sitting here. If someone suddenly appeared here, I would definitely know. Jae-sin was shocked. Are you joking, sir? Jae-sin was arguing with the old man without noticing. On the wall was an old photo of the fortune teller he met before. The old lady's eyes seemed to be watching someone, waiting for the day to return. But then the fire flared up. The flames crept slowly as if gnawing on the past. Ashes spiraled up like silent screams. It was no longer just a photo. It was the last evidence burned away. And with it, a part of the soul vanished. Only thin smoke and a cold, angering emptiness remained. But Jae-sin still didn't notice the wheel of fate rolling onward in his next journey. The conversation continued. It was not over yet. What joke? Why would I joke about something like that? Jae-sin stubbornly whined, come on, please be honest with me. But the old man firmly denied it, because he had already told Jae-sin the truth. I told you the truth already. Heavy breathing echoed in the darkness. Suddenly, from somewhere appeared a staggering man with a trembling body, looking like he was running away from something terrifying. From afar, a faint light had somehow slipped through the broken, collapsed roofs, casting faint streaks on the decaying walls. The man quickly turned his head with eyes full of panic. In the moment when this darkness was as thick as ink, it seemed like a voice calling out to me echoed, "Hey, uncle!" Deep inside the dimly lit hallway, something stirred in the dark corner. The shape was unclear. The source of the sound was unknown, but it was definitely getting closer. The eerie voice spoke again. "Hey, uncle, where have you gone?" This time it seemed closer and clearer. He held his breath, too scared to move. The man pressed himself against a corner. His eyes stared intently toward the dim hallway ahead. "Uncle, where did you disappear to?" It hovered around, searching for its prey. After a few minutes of silence, suddenly, its head stretched out behind it. In a flash, its head had twisted 180 degrees, its eyes fixed on the man in front. The monster exclaimed joyfully, "There you are!" The man recoiled in horror. His survival instinct kicked in, but his body quickly began to tremble. He hit a broken piece of wood on the floor, causing him to fall heavily. It slowly stepped closer to the man, swallowed by fear. The monster stretched a twisted grin, ear to ear. It opened its mouth wide and bit down on the man's head. A scream tore through the sky, then gradually fell silent. Not long after, it seemed, the scream alerted a nearby old woman. She immediately reported everything. "I swear I heard the terrible scream of a man." Because of that, people in the city gathered and buzzed with talk. "There she goes again, calling the police over every little thing." Someone clicked his tongue and whispered, "She is seriously damaging the reputation and prestige of this area." This made the police officer embarrassed and said, "Ma'am, according to our assessment, no one lives in that area. It's probably just some homeless people causing trouble." But the old woman was certain she heard correctly. "No, I'm sure that scream was from someone in mortal danger." Meanwhile, more and more townspeople came to watch. The officer just clicked his tongue and replied, "Ma'am, we don't have jurisdiction to handle incidents in that area anyway." Hearing that, the old woman felt confused. But before she could finish speaking, the officers withdrew from the scene. "Let's pull out, everyone," he called out clearly. They quickly got into the police car. Before leaving, they didn't forget to warn the old woman, hoping she wouldn't call the police again over half-ghost, half-demon stories. After the police car left, the townsfolk continued discussing the recent events. "Hey, now that I think about it, how many people have gone into that place and disappeared, huh?" Another replied, "Chances are there really is a monster in there, but it was all dealt with by an old man." Silence fell. The old man lightly pushed his glasses up to straighten himself. "Listen up, everyone. If this ghost story spreads, no one will want to live here anymore. Everyone shut your mouths. Let's pretend none of this ever happened." A shout echoed through the old street, its tone cutting through the cold, gray morning air. After that incident, it made the front page of a newspaper titled, "The Mysterious Story." The latest news about people mysteriously disappearing on Naniak Street, Block 4. The comments underneath caused widespread panic. Some said they didn't know where it was. Others said they had passed through the scary place. Some believed it was real, but others denied it. Another news story about Naniak Street reported mysterious glowing orbs appearing. Naniak Street is spreading horror stories at a rapid pace. There are reports of strange flickering lights there, even ghosts. From the article above, the comment section was also exploding. One person believed that some mysterious spiritual phenomenon was happening on Naniak Street. Many articles are currently reporting on spiritual events occurring on Naniak Street. Jae-sin suddenly asked, "Is it really true?" The old woman sitting by the road firmly replied, "Of course it's true. You will definitely encounter a man searching for masks." The old woman pointed at the grains of rice on the table and continued, "And at the same time meet your destined other half there. If you find them, you must not leave their side even by half a step." The old woman smiled and held out her hand as if asking for payment. "If you want me to bless everything to go smoothly, please pay some extra," Jai-Sin replied. "All right. You pull out your card to swipe it. I'm out of cash." That left the old lady speechless for a moment. The sky was a clear blue with a streak of cloud stretched out like a summer silk sheet laid flat across the sky. The morning sunlight cast a gentle golden glow over the pristine white buildings, making everything feel strangely pure and peaceful amid the quiet scene of a modern residential area. A voice called out, "Hey, Jai-Sin, let's check one more time to see if anything's missing." After confirming nothing was missing, Jia-Sin replied, "Yes, everything's here." The driver nodded and turned his head with a firm tone. "Then get in the truck." The truck rolled forward on the road. The engine roared through the city as the noise gradually faded. Inside the cabin, the driver said, "We have to get there before dark." The atmosphere tightened slightly. The man sitting beside him looked ahead, but his mind was lost in distant thoughts. Then the driver suddenly asked, "Hey, why do you have so many books with you?" "Most of your stuff is books. Are you a teacher?" Jai-Sin answered. "No, I'm not." Then the driver teased, "So what's the point of hoarding all those planning to eat books instead of food?" Hearing that, Jia-Sin felt a bit annoyed and displeased inside. He retorted angrily, "Is there any law against hoarding books?" The driver chuckled half-jokingly. "With the money you spent on those books, you could have bought yourself a decent house to live in, not a place like that." Jia-Sin turned his head away. He forced a smile. The driver dropped the joking tone. He asked seriously, "Do you even know what kind of place that is? Someone went missing there just a few days ago." The truck sped down the highway. The urban scenery blurred behind them. Jia-Sin kept a casual tone, even teasing a bit. "You don't need to worry about me. After all, I'm not even human." The driver asked suspiciously, "Then what are you?" Jai-Sin replied with the same nonchalant tone as if talking about the weather. "Someone who eats books instead of meals is called a bookworm." The truck screeched to a sharp brake. They had arrived. The haunted Naniac townhouse before them was a narrow slope leading up to an old house hidden behind dense trees. Jai-Sin stood silently before the stone wall, looking up at the house shrouded in shadow. The weak afternoon sun couldn't break the cold air surrounding the place. Since the disappearances, no one had rented this house anymore. A low voice softly spoke as if recounting an old legend that even the speaker didn't fully believe. Jai-Sin quietly stared at the house rumored to be haunted, lost in thought. The driver inside the truck turned and asked half-jokingly, half-seriously, regretting it yet, "If you want to turn back, get in the truck. I'm willing to charge you half price." Jia-Sin remained calm and a bit indifferent as he answered, "No need, just help me unload the stuff." The driver laughed but still warned, "Are you sure this is a haunted house?" But Jia-Sin showed no sign of worry. He turned back, his eyes calm and somewhat cold, answering decisively, "No problem." The driver raised an eyebrow. "You've got guts. If you're set on this, I can't stop you anyway." After his last helpless words, the driver smiled faintly. "All right, then let's settle up." Jai-Sin pulled out his bank card and held it lightly toward the driver in the white truck. "Swipe the card, please, brother." The driver tilted his head, looking at him with a mixture of boredom and bitterness. His strong arm rested on the edge of the truck door. He sighed softly and replied with a dry, mocking tone, "I don't eat books like you." Hearing that, Jia-Sin's face turned pale. Then the driver counted the bills carefully, one by one. His strong hand paused when the total was reached. The man nodded with a hoarse but sincere voice. 1520. That's enough. Take care of yourself. If you still have a life to move again, just call me." The truck started moving again. The deep engine sound blended into the quiet space. The strong hand stopped when the count was complete. The man nodded with a hoarse but sincere voice. 1520 now. That's enough. Try to live well. If you still have life left to move again, just call me." The truck began to roll. The deep engine sound blended into the silent space. From the driver's cabin, the driver muttered softly, "What an idiot. Just likes living with ghosts for no reason. There are even monsters in there." It was just a casual remark, but it made Jia-Sin standing by the roadside freeze. His eyes widened as if awakened from another train of thought. Yeah, he immediately ran after the truck with a hurried expression. His voice rang out clearly, almost shouting, "Hey, stop!" The driver paused for a moment, tilted his head out the window, raising his eyebrows in surprise. GSN caught up right beside the door, panting, but his eyes still shining with astonishment as he asked, "What did you just say?" The driver looked up a bit embarrassed, but answered calmly, "I said you're crazy for wanting to live with ghosts, but that doesn't matter to you." Toward the end, the driver hesitated briefly, then blurted out, "What monsters?" The driver continued without realizing he had just dropped a psychological bomb. "Don't you know? People call that house a haunted house, but actually, there are monsters inside too." This made Choji Sin freeze, his eyes wide open and stiff like stone. His normally calm face shifted to a dazed, spaced-out look. While he was still stunned by the driver's words, a voice suddenly whispered in his ear, "It's almost dark. I have to get out of this place." His face, blank eyes, emotionless. He was so shocked that the monsters seemed to vanish. That sound fell into a white void, then echoed back in his mind like an alarm bell. Suddenly, from afar, a man waved at him. "Hey, are you Jae-sin?" The chubby uncle ran closer still, wearing a bright smile. "Wow, you arrived early." After happily coming to greet him, the balding uncle continued with a kind smile, hands clasped together as if welcoming an honored guest. "Sorry for not coming out to greet you sooner. Do you have any complaints?" That man was Bong Bill, the landowner. Hearing this, Jae-sin calmly replied, "Whether I'm satisfied or not, I have to stay a while to know. I've only been here for 10 minutes. Before moving in, I have a question to ask you." His words made Bong Bill, who had just been beaming, immediately lose his smile and look confused. But he quickly recovered his friendly demeanor. Hands clasped, face smiling. "What's your question? Feel free to ask. Don't hesitate." Jae-sin, with a serious and emotionless face, clearly asked him, "Besides ghosts, is there anything else here?" His question successfully made Bong Bill's face suddenly turn pale. Purple sweat dripping, hands still clasped, looking both awkward and like he was hiding something. Though still forcing a smile, Bong Bill jumped up in panic behind, flailing his arms nervously with a stressed face, trying to deny blatantly, "What are you talking about? There are no ghosts." But Jae-sin quickly caught on. He calmly put his hands in his pockets, wearing a composed expression as he replied, "Come on, no need to hide it." Jae-sin showed his phone, his voice calm but convincing. "The haunted house on Naniak Street, there are plenty of news reports about it. People say they've seen ghosts inside that house." The uncle started to panic, noticeably stammering, "What's that supposed to mean? That can't be true. It's all nonsense, just rumors." Meanwhile, Jae-sin maintained a serious face with a cold tone. "Just answer honestly. There's nothing here but ghosts, right? Like monsters, for example." Jae-sin raised his eyes, asking Bong Bill. He blurted out before thinking, "What are you?" but then quickly covered his mouth. Bong Bill's face turned pale, sweat poured down heavily, while Jae-sin just stared silently at him without saying a word. The man panicked and tried to back away, still blatantly denying, Yes, it's only ghosts." No matter how he looked, Jae-sin didn't believe him. He frowned, showing suspicion and dissatisfaction, silently thinking, "Something's fishy here. From the moment I mentioned ghosts, I felt this guy was off. I just wanted to test him a bit." Jae-sin turned his head away, looking tired and frustrated, thinking to himself, "Is it too late to turn back now? But all my stuff's already downstairs, and I'm out of money too." Meanwhile, the uncle tried to cover up and deny, Hey, it's true there are things at night, but it's nothing." Ha! Then Jae-sin looked toward a group of locals gathering in the alley. A group of elderly people with anxious faces stared intently at Jae-sin, then they quietly left. Their series of actions made him feel confused. That made Jae-sin wonder and ask himself, what's going on? Still puzzled, he thought to himself, people are curious because I just moved here. Maybe they know something. Meanwhile, Bong Bill forced a smile. You pay the rent first. Jae-sin was about to swipe his card to pay the rent, but Bong Bill, with lightning-fast hands, invisible to the naked eye, quickly threw his card aside. The bank card lay flat on the ground while Jae-sin and Bong Bill faced each other, the atmosphere very awkward. At that moment, darkness began to engulf the quiet night under the faint light of stars swallowed by thick tree canopies. The old tiled roof of the house appeared in that space, mumbling irritably, "Had to rent a haunted house to live in, and they won't even let you swipe the card, pay cash instead. Then all sorts of taxes come up. What a headache." A sigh slipped from between Jae-sin's lips. as his whole body gradually lowered its center of gravity in that old room. The flickering fluorescent light seemed to reluctantly try to illuminate. The chair's back reclined fully, and he let himself fall back like a shadow, just slightly dropping his guard. His breath was light, but still bore signs of fatigue. It's okay for now. He leaned back on the chair, eyes wandering toward the ceiling, lips slightly curled as if he'd just found a good deal thinking. The house is really spacious and comfortable. Renting for a dirt-cheap price and getting this is great. Ghosts can't hurt people. Ji-Sin kept a leisurely smile, eyes distant, as if recalling a phrase from the driver echoing in his head. He's a fool who likes living with ghosts. There are even demons in there. A sudden chill ran straight up his spine to his brain. Ji-Sin gripped the armrest tightly. Are the demons really that kind? Then he calmly put his glasses back on. He walked slowly down the dark hallway. His footsteps echoed softly on the old wooden floor. Just going to check around to be sure. If there are demons, gotta get out immediately. Ji-Sin hurriedly flung open a door, but in front of him were only old, dusty objects unused for a long time. They were thrown aside inside a dark room with no light at all. Ji-Sin opened another door wide. He froze in front of the bathroom door. The space was bright white and clean, completely opposite to the dusty room before. He opened another door. He even crouched down to check if there was anything strange under the floor. Suddenly, Ji-Sin stood still. His heart seemed to skip a beat. He stopped right in front of the stairs. His hand lightly touched the wooden railing. His eyes glued to the stairs leading upward, where faint light from a crack in the door shone down enough to clearly see each gray, rotten, warped wooden step. A few steps looked like they would collapse with just a light step. This house has 2 floors. As Ha just reached the top of the stairs, he froze. Ji-Sin stepped into the upstairs room. Cold blue light from the foggy window frame slanted into the pitch-dark room, creating thin streaks of light. Slipping through the dust in the air was the attic. Ji-Sin still stood motionless in the attic. His eyes quietly scanned the cold, deserted room. No signs of cleaning. Could it be the previous tenant never came up here? He looked up at the ceiling. Suddenly, his eyes widened. His legs felt frozen. Just above his head, a strange object was stuck on the ceiling. His pupils contracted when he saw that object. What the hell is that, a stick? A stick thrust boldly straight into the wall. Suddenly, Ji-Sin's body jolted with a strange pain. He rolled up his sleeve to reveal ancient symbols on his wrist. His wrist hurt badly. That made him recall the event he encountered a few days ago. The image of the girl with glasses revealed to be a monster bird. Frantically running away was the cursed seal. I'm going to be cursed. That made him anxious and uneasy. He thought to himself, is this really a curse? Should I leave this place? He gritted his teeth. He slowly descended each step, echoing dryly on the old wooden stairs. No, I've already paid anyway. Besides, I don't have money to rent somewhere else. He tensely gripped the glasses in his hands and fell silent for a while. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath as if trying to swallow the rising fear inside his chest. I'll take a risk this once. After all, my original reason for renting this house wasn't because it was cheap. Ji-Sin stepped slowly along the hallway, bathed in dim light. His eyes lightly scanned through the large window frame. This place really is spacious. Even the garden is large. Maybe I should go outside and check a bit. He stood silently by the large window. His gaze was pensive, looking outside. The faint yellow light from the street lamp filtered through thick leaves. The night wind blew softly, carrying a musty smell and an indescribable eerie feeling. His eyes widened in confusion. Sweat dripped from his temples, falling with each rapid breath. He forced a smile, silently thinking he was stupid. Why not just wait until dawn? Foolishness comes in many forms. The scene continued to envelop a gloomy and stifling atmosphere. A road appeared behind 2 mottled stone walls under the streetlight. Suddenly, a black hole appeared right in midair. It had now expanded, seething like a gateway to hell. The flickering streetlight was gradually swallowed into the void. Inside that pitch-black hole, a strange light suddenly flashed. Those dots of light slowly moved. On another side, a faint crack echoed from the old ceiling. A dim blue light shone through the window, illuminating a dusty bookshelf. An old computer sat silently by the window frame. On the sofa, Ji-Sin's eyes were wide open. He curled up on it, his face tense to the extreme. His eyes rolled back, pupils shrunk. Sweat poured down his forehead. He panted with each breath like someone returned from death. His eyes were so wide it looked like they might pop out of their sockets. He gave a silly smile, silently thinking he must have slept for about 4 hours. He was almost going crazy. He clenched his watch tightly, his eyes wide open, mouth agape as if he couldn't believe the truth unfolding before him. The sky still hadn't brightened. And then the bitter truth unfolded right before his eyes. Only 15 minutes had passed. He held his head with both hands as if his brain was about to explode. Never before had time felt this slow. Maybe staying up all night to work was pointless. Why torture myself with 2 exhausting tasks at once? Just forget it then. About 30 minutes later, Jaya Sin was squatting in front of the wide-open refrigerator door. Under the pale white light from the fridge, his face was twisted as if he bore the weight of eternal fatigue. He silently thought, if there's any ghost or demon in this water, just show up already. Jaya Sin raised a bottle of water. He looked at it with a defiant gaze, hoping for a ghost to appear. Pride. Not at this point. While still holding a sip of water in his mouth, a strange sound suddenly echoed in the quiet space, making him freeze and chill down his spine. What's that sound? It seemed like the town center bell ringing far from this area. But who would bother ringing the bell at midnight like this? His face forced a smile but showed clear panic. His eyes couldn't believe what was happening. He gripped the glasses tightly. The confusion slowly shifted to extreme tension as he realized the sound was coming closer. Rapid footsteps echoed on the old wooden floor. He dashed straight to the window like an arrow. Jaya Sin peeked through the window, looking outside. His eyes widened in shock as he looked out the window. Outside was a procession radiant in red parading down the street. People dressed in deep red ceremonial robes marched in a line. The light from lanterns and torches cast an unusually solemn expression on their faces. The entire procession. Jaya Sin continued to watch out the window with a confused and suspicious expression. In his head echoed the question, what kind of festival are they holding so late at night like this? He was silent for a long moment, clutching the glasses tightly in his hand. Could it be? He exhaled faintly, carefully, observing the red glasses through trembling hands. After putting on the red glasses, Jaya Sin's eyes widened in astonishment. The scene before him was a parade of monsters, clearly all were demons. Suddenly his pupils dilated to the extreme. What he saw triggered memories of the past. A deep voice echoed like stones rolling in a cold abyss, chilling the listener's spine. How strange you are, Jaya Sin. With a face blotched like strawberry syrup, frozen in fear and unable to move, you look very much like a human. The 100-eyed monster stared intently as if looking at a bug underfoot. Yet you have the ability to see through my true form. It continued in a deep, gruff voice as if questioning him. Are you human or demon? Answer me. If you're human, you'll die immediately. Jaya Sin still trembled, facing the bizarre creature. Reflected in the glasses was the image of Jumwan, then a scene of a sea of bodies piled high, stained crimson. Because I deeply hate you humans. Answer quickly. Jaya Sin still knelt on the ground, his small body trembling among the cold sea of corpses. Facing him, a man in a purple suit stood tall, cold eyes gripping the head of a severed victim. Red syrup dripped onto the gray-white stone floor. What exactly are you? His eyes widened in horror. He sat down on the floor, one hand covering his face. His heart pounded fiercely like a drum. This feeling was truly unsettling. Outside, a solemn yet chilling procession marched swiftly down the road. An experienced face with jagged teeth and silver hair partially covering his face. He muttered in a mysterious tone, only 1 day left before the ceremony. He coldly threatened, don't even think about running away. You can run to the ends of the earth, but you won't escape our grasp, understand? So Chun was inside the sedan chair, bowing his head low. An eerie silence engulfed the deep red procession. After a moment of silence, the person inside resignedly spoke. All right, return to Jaya Sin's place. At this moment, he clutched his left chest, breathing heavily, trying to calm his mind. Calm down. What should I do next? He couldn't believe the demons traveled in such large groups. His hand pressed tightly against his chest, as if trying to steady his wildly beating heart. His eyes were full of anxious fear. So this whole neighborhood is the demon's territory. This fan is doomed. His eyes flickered with caution. Maybe it's fine if I just stay inside the house, but their numbers are so many. If I ran into the whole bunch, the outcome would be obvious. Then Jaya Sin forced a smile. It's okay. As long as I stay calm and focus as much as possible, there won't be any problems. He told himself quietly, comforting his own heart. For now, just stay put and wait for dawn. Jaya Sin quickly left his spot, cautiously stepping down the pitch-black stairs. They probably wouldn't bother searching here, right? Suddenly, a loud noise caught Jaya Sin's attention. In front of him was a woman with pale purple hair, wearing a dark yukata with a blue sash, her face strangely calm. Surprise and fear were clearly visible on Jaya Sin's face. His eyes widened, his face tensed. A cold sweat rolled down his temple. A short-haired purple girl with a few light scratches. Jaya Sin thought silently. Someone's here. Uneasy, he thought, no way I locked the doors carefully. So does that mean she's a ghost? The thought echoed in his mind. He looked down at her feet. If she's not a ghost, how could she make such heavy footsteps? Suddenly, the purple-haired girl slowly lifted her face. Her gloomy eyes quietly stared piercingly. So she is. Jisun quickly turned his face away. His whole body tensed up, cold sweat pouring down like rain. Only one thought remained in his mind. Face to face. He tightened the red glasses in his right hand to stay calm. Surely it can't be. Suddenly a voice rang out. "Hey, Uncle!" Jisun swallowed dryly, his forehead drenched in cold sweat. His eyes strained to the extreme, his heartbeat pounding loudly inside. Hey, Uncle Jia-shin turned back when he heard the angry call ringing in his ear. It jumped squat in front of him, its long, twisted head drooping like a boneless lump of flesh swinging loosely with every movement. Its voice shrilled loudly like a child imitating an adult. "Hey, Uncle!" Blood splattered all over the monster's face, its mouth stretched wide to the ears. He gritted his teeth. "Damn it!" Sin reacted extremely fast, turning and running upstairs, leaping 2-3 steps at once, moving so fast he couldn't stop in time, and his body slammed into the wall by momentum. Jisun gasped for breath, cursing silently at its mouth while pulling out his glasses. Without hesitation, he put them on immediately. This thing has to be a demon. Jisun's gaze through the glasses fixed intently on the stairs. The desperate, abundant calling continued to echo from downstairs. It carried its long, twisted neck step by step upward, its shrill voice screaming, "Hey, Uncle!" Jisun panicked and shouted in his mind, "It's a monster!" He heard it calling in his ear. "Hey, Uncle." He couldn't help but wonder, which uncle is that? Am I really that old? Suddenly, Jisun saw something under its long skirt. Something was shining. He wondered, there seems to be something underneath. It's too dark here, I can't see clearly. He tried to focus on the faint light, calming himself. All right. First, stay calm. Jisun looked at its long, sliding tail and thought silently, talking to himself like last time. He raised his hand in greeting to the demon before him, forcing a smile. Thought it was someone else, turns out it's a long neck. Jisun continued to make up a story. Last time we met at... Before he could finish, he sensed danger. Jisun instinctively jumped to the side. The spot where he just stood was smashed hard against the wall by its head, and taking advantage of that, he quickly ran away. Panicked inside, he cursed silently. This method really works. Turning back to look at what was behind, he screamed wildly. Why does a monster not bother with any reason at all? It saw the prey moving and turned its legs to chase its mouth, still hanging with a mournful sound. Hey, Uncle? Jisun tried his best to run away, needing to quickly escape downstairs, then headed toward the stairs leading down. He had just climbed onto the railing, planning to jump down, when its dangling head leapt right in front of him. Jisun hurriedly stepped back. It was so fast that in the blink of an eye, its mouth opened wide as if to swallow him whole. Jisun retreated quickly as the nearby ceiling beam became its victim, shattering into two. It saw its last move fail, but still clenched its teeth on the house post. Its body swung over its smooth knees in midair, charging straight at him, then mercilessly kneed him in the chest. It directly pinned him to the floor, its two knees gripping Jisun's shoulders tightly. He was suddenly attacked a second time, groaning in pain. Before he could regain composure, its grip tightened around his neck. Jisun was strangled to the point of suffocation, his eyes wide, showing blood vessels, ears ringing. Its voice. Hey, Uncle! He clenched his teeth, saliva starting to spill from his throat while the monster mournfully called, Hey, Uncle! Jisun opened his eyes wide, staring at the mouth opening wider and wider in front of him, drool dripping down from that mouth. He screamed helplessly inside, I can't move, unconsciously begging someone to save him. Neither Jisun nor it knew that something was revealing itself on the ceiling at this moment. It slowly pierced through the ceiling, a thunderbolt striking straight down on the monster's long neck. It screamed painfully with strange sounds. The monster staggered, released its grip on his neck, and fell backward. Jisun narrowly escaped death, coughing harshly, trying to breathe, yet his legs quickly ran away. What the hell just happened? Never mind that, just run. Jisun dashed straight out to the yard, facing a wooden gate, thinking to himself he should get out of here. But something suddenly flashed. Just as he placed his hand on the door, he stopped. Jisun opened his eyes wide, sensing what was in front of him through the crack in the door. He saw countless demons of various shapes and sizes wearing elaborate clothes. They were pacing back and forth as if this was their lair. He collapsed in despair, knees buckling to the ground, muttering, I forgot there's another whole bunch of demons out there. Jisun held his head, leaning against the door, angrily tugging his hair. I really shouldn't have been foolish enough to come here. When morning comes, I must pack up and leave. Jai-Sin's heart was full of frustration. Dying meaninglessly here before even solving anything, how stupid would that be? Meanwhile, somewhere under the night sky, a house with somewhat classic architecture was lit by lamps, and a voice inside said, "Tomorrow is the full moon, so the ritual will be held then." The speaker was an old man, his forehead wrinkled and partly hidden by the long hat he wore. He stood opposite a kneeling girl, saying after the ritual is done, she would become part of Jim Waning. Wonderful, isn't it? He clasped his hands behind his back, carrying an authoritative demeanor, then walked past her. Jim Waning needs to gather more knowledge from souls so we can still make use of your modest talents for something useful. Though he didn't regard the girl wearing a face veil and elaborate jewelry, his words were ironically polite. On behalf of everyone, I thank you in advance. Please consider this responsibility an honor. So Chun, the girl's face, hidden beneath her veil, showed no clear emotion. She heard the old man's voice echoing behind her. You should complete everything before the full moon. Find another sacrifice for Ji-hyun Hwa-nim. Only after she no longer heard his footsteps did she think to herself, just one more day. She tilted her head to look at the full moon outside. Everything is about to end. Back at Jai-Sin's eerie boarding house, the crackling sound from the phone rang steadily. You are currently out of service range. Please use our telecommunications service elsewhere. He grabbed the phone, pacing anxiously. Jai-Sin looked at the notification on his phone, helplessly. I remember. I could still make calls this morning, but this worries me. Can't even use the phone at night. He lost control and cursed. The landlord is stingy and didn't bother to warn me. Ji-Sin slumped down, clutching his head in frustration. This sucks. He recalled some articles he read online which led him to believe this place was only haunted by ghosts. But then he remembered his dream. A girl with red hair standing by the bridge looking up at the blazing golden sky, then turning to give him the gentlest smile. Jai-Sin closed his eyes quietly, thinking that his intuition told him he would meet that person here. It was an obsession he couldn't abandon, whether she was a ghost or a demon. He had to meet her no matter what. In fact, the moment he arrived, Jia-Sin felt something strange. He had been to this area before, but the locals were very wary, so he couldn't gather any information. Some even harshly drove him away. Where do you think you're coming from? Go away. The more Jia-Sin thought about it, the more scared he became. Now look at him walking right into the demon's lair. Suddenly he panicked. Wait, I think I forgot something, didn't I? My glasses. Jia-Sin was frantic, running his hands through his hair. He couldn't leave them behind. What now? After calming himself down, Jia-Sin crept back into the house, tiptoeing up the stairs. He didn't dare go upstairs, only sticking his head out trying to look around for his glasses. His eyes widened as if he spotted something staring intently at the red glasses frame less than 3 meters away. He quietly rejoiced. There it is. Jia-Sin carefully stepped forward to pick them up, then sighed in relief. Phew, lucky they're not chipped. Only then did he realize he seemed to have stepped on something. He sat down to look at it. What is this? Broken stones. Jia-Sin held it in his hand but hadn't examined it closely when he felt a chill down his neck. He quickly turned his head, but there was nothing there except the messy pile of stuff scattered on the floor. He scratched his head confusedly. Clearly I felt something. Suddenly a blue light flashed on the floor. A stick was stuck into the ground at some unknown time, radiating a magical blue glow around it. Jai-Sin instinctively pulled back, feeling the stick looked somewhat familiar. Could it be from that thing? He slowly recalled the scene where that thing had hit his head fiercely just now to save him. Jai-Sin gradually stepped closer, reaching out to touch the wooden shaft, as if to pull it out, surprised that he could pull it out in one go without any effort. Jai-Sin admired it. I thought it would be heavy, but it's surprisingly light. He examined the stick from all sides. There was nothing special about it, just an ordinary stick. Thinking this, he became bored and swung it in the air like he was waving a brush. Then why did that monster scream so loudly like that? Before Jia-Sin fully understood how it worked, the stick suddenly slipped from his hand, falling heavily to the floor with a loud crash like 100-pound weight dropping. Jia-Sin froze, staring at his empty hand, utterly puzzled. Why did it make a banging noise? He quickly bent down to pick up the stick, then dropped it again. This time, the heavy, thudding sound was even louder. Jia-Sin's head was full of question marks. He had no idea what the hell was going on. A stiff smile spread on his lips as he scratched his head, picked up the stick again, then awkwardly chuckled nervously. This toy's kind of interesting. If no one claims it, I might as well keep it. The next morning, inside the haunted house where Jia Sin stayed, his voice echoed, "Huh, why you can't come today?" He stood in front of the mirror, lifting his collar to check the mark on his neck, the handprint still clearly visible. On the other end of the phone came the reply, "I already told you I've got too much going on. Today I have a client scheduled for a move." Ji Sin really didn't want to stay here any longer, so he said, "Then I'll come pick you up after I finish work tonight." He walked out the gate, phone still at his ear, hearing the other side's shrill refusal. "Forget it. I'm not as crazy as you to go there at night." Jia Sin pleaded quickly, "Hey, driver!" Finally, the other side relented. "All right, fine, it's tough. The day after tomorrow, I'll come help you move, so get ready. I already told you that day, and now you're regretting it." Hearing the day after tomorrow, Jia Sin panicked and hurriedly said to the driver, "I'm sorry, so can you?" The driver decisively cut off the conversation without hesitation. "The day after tomorrow is the day after tomorrow. Remember to have cash ready then. No transfers." "See you later, bookworm." Ji Sin called out to stop him, but the line was already cut off. He was annoyed. "Damn it. Money's almost gone totally broke. If you hadn't promised to take half price, I wouldn't even bother calling you." Suddenly, the landlord appeared behind him, trembling and stammering. "You're still alive." Jia Sin got furious, seeing him. The landlord quickly covered his mouth after realizing he'd said too much. Jia Sin sneered coldly, "Good, so you do know." Inside the haunted house with monsters around, landlord Bong Bill rushed over, grabbed Jia Sin, inspecting him all over. Ji Sin was both angry and confused. "What the hell are you doing?" The landlord was curious. "Nothing, this bruise is from Bong Bill scared stiff to the face." "Could it be you really tangled with a monster?" Hearing this, Jia Sin scolded him in his heart. "This old man is really infuriating." Old man Bong Pu suddenly clasped his hands and bowed to him. "Young and brave sorcerer, please stay here longer to help me exterminate these demons and monsters." Jia Sin went crazy. "Don't dream on, I'm moving out tomorrow. I'm no sorcerer or magic pet." He didn't believe him, nagging non-stop. "Brave young warrior, please help me. If you can handle them, I'll give you a thank you gift of 10,000 won. Then triple that." Under the old man's relentless pressure, Jia Sin still immediately refused. "Not helping, don't need it." But his tone softened. "All right, first explain everything clearly so I can consider." Of course, he had his own thoughts. What money can't bribe, a lot of money can. The landlord replied, "Actually, there's a temple called Naniak on the hill above here." Jia Sin repeated the words, "a temple." He explained, "As far as I know, that temple has been abandoned for a long time and many people have disappeared there. The houses around that area are also abandoned, so the police don't want to waste time investigating, since the missing people are all homeless without ID or background. This is also very well known." Not long after, rumors related to this started spreading widely online. That affects landowners like me a lot, and even the tenants living in this area. Usually in times like that, the locals around here know someone has disappeared. They might know, but no one's foolish enough to go out and snoop around. He stroked his chin, remembering, "There was once a brave guy like you who went up there and came back saying he saw a ghost inside Nan Temple." He kept going without pause. He said the ghost wore a very strange ancient-style outfit and had long, flowing hair. Jia Sin was stunned hearing about the ghost and said, "So that's how you use it. I'm only at that part of the story and already got goosebumps." Then Bong Bill decided on his own. "So I hope the warrior will help me and the locals exterminate those demons and evil spirits." Hearing this, he felt something was off. "Hold on." I still had more to say, but he cut me off before I finished. "I entrust everything to the warrior. I've even prepared the money." As soon as he finished speaking, he took off. I was speechless. This old man is deliberately trying to push me into a deadly situation. I tightly grasped the glasses hanging on my shirt, my eyes darkening as I recalled what he just said. Long, flowing hair means a woman, right? And wearing a strange, ancient-style outfit, too, I was a bit worried. What should I do now? It's getting dark. The clock on the shelf shows 10:39. Jia Sin lay stretched out on the bed, covered with a thin blanket, sighed, complaining, "I really want to get out of here." The problem is it's night now. I already know everything I need to, and now I'm hesitating whether I should go there or not. On the tiny bed, I lay down, then sat up, then lay down again, tossing and turning about 100 times. Then Jia-sin sat up in frustration, feeling disappointed in himself, thinking no better to stay put here and wait until morning to leave safely. Not to mention there's no guarantee there isn't something else besides ghosts there. If I run into another freak like yesterday, I'm done for. Jia-sin jumped up. It's already midnight, might as well try to wait half a day more and then leave. I don't have any weapons anyway to fight those monsters. He tilted his head toward the staff beside the bed, his eyes showing a bit of trust, finally picked it up and stepped out through the house gate. Jia-sin made a plan, just take a quick look and get out immediately. Walking on the road, he reassured himself. Surely nothing will happen, right? He slowly walked down the quiet road in the dead of night. But Jia-sin didn't know that hidden in the darkness were two glowing lights shining brightly as soon as they saw him. Jia-sin wandered around the village, pursing his lips, unsure whether he was worried or hopeful. Could it possibly be that person? He suddenly remembered those recurring dreams, wondering why that person kept appearing in his dreams like that. Why do I feel like I am the chosen one to be the sacrificial lamb? The sky was pitch black now, only the faint streetlights shining down. He looked up the quiet slope, feeling strange. Huh? They said the place was just up that hill. He had been looking around for quite a while, but still hadn't seen Nan Temple anywhere. I think I just passed this stretch of road a moment ago. Jia-sin started to get a little annoyed. Could it be I've just been walking around in circles? Suddenly, something sparkling appeared, golden glowing butterflies. He was stunned, watching them, looking toward where the butterflies gathered, unable to believe the sight before him, glowing butterflies flying around a temple. It was a temple with an ancient, mysterious look, but not old or worn. The whole temple was brightly lit from inside and by the fluttering butterflies. Somehow Jia-sin was now standing in front of the temple, unbelievable. He whispered softly, "This place looks exactly like the temple in the painting." Before he could be stunned much longer, the door in front of him opened. Jia-sin, startled, his face panicked, thinking. The door opened automatically. He followed the butterflies inside. Jia-sin felt his heartbeat rise, nervous. There must be something hiding in here. Looking toward the stairs, he glanced up at the tightly closed door, thinking, if it's not a ghost, then it must be a demon. He looked at the door, a hint of hope showing on his face as he remembered the girl from his dream. Jia-sin slowly climbed the stairs. The large wooden door appeared right before him. Pushing the door gently with both hands, the light inside made him squint a little. Inside, a red curtain and a girl are faintly visible. Jia-sin looks toward her. The girl sits on a deep red bed, her long hair half tied up, the other half flowing down to her waist, adorned with sparkling accessories. She tilts her head, looking at him, her beautiful face clearly in front of Jia-sin. Butterflies fly to her side, surrounding her, making the beautiful girl even more radiant and stunning. Jia-sin stands there stunned. A slight smile appears on her lips, her eyes sparkling as she looks at Jia-sin. Her smile is unlike the girl in his dream. He feels this isn't the first time he's seen this face. At this moment, the girl slowly stands up. She wears a tight outfit with a sparkling blue cloak, looking very beautiful. Jia-sin watches the person in front of him walking toward him and concludes this definitely isn't that person. Her blazing golden eyes glance briefly. Their eyes meet in midair. The girl has now arrived in front of him. Jia-sin feels a bit embarrassed, wondering if he should apologize to her for bothering her and then leave as quickly as possible. But the girl doesn't let Jia-sin react. She steps closer to him. With Jia-sin's wide-open eyes, she lifts his chin with her hand, her face close to his. Jia-sin's eyes widen. What the hell is this? I can't move my mouth. She wraps her arms around Jia-sin's neck as if wanting to hug him. He panics. No, it's my body that can't move. Her hand gently moves behind Jia-sin's neck. Her fingernails suddenly sharp like blades, her eyes full of danger as she looks at him. Jia-sin doesn't realize his life is in danger, but the staff in his hand seems to sense it, glowing with a pale blue light. She stops her motion, realizing something, quickly retreats and pushes Jia-sin away. Her eyes watch the glowing staff in Jia-sin's hand cautiously. That light makes her uneasy. The terrifying aura, he must be a sorcerer who exorcises demons. She points at Jia-sin. Who are you? Seeing he doesn't answer, she shouts again. What do you want coming in here? Jia-sin uses his voice and can finally speak quickly, saying what's on his mind. Please forgive me for entering here without permission. But before he finishes, a loud noise interrupts him. Both look toward the sound's source. He feels it somewhat familiar. The sound was unmistakable before Jia-sin could figure it out. A mournful voice echoes Uncle Uncle. Sin sweats nervously. From the door emerges a floating head with bright eyes, groaning Uncle Uncle. A familiar head Jia-sin just saw yesterday. He's a little angry. It's that pesky thing again. He instinctively grips his staff tightly. Is it following me? Jia-sin raises his staff, takes a defensive stance, and speaks to the girl behind him. Sorry it came here because of me, so I'll take responsibility for dealing with it. She's a bit surprised by his action. What's going on? Isn't it here to kill me? Jai-Sin is tense sweat forming at his temple. So Tron silently examines Jia-Sin, a suspicious guy carrying a sword radiating a terrifying aura. When he wields that sword, I swear I'll take responsibility for dealing with it. At that moment, she simply found it hard to believe. Did he really say that? Now, hearing the duck's quack mixed with panicked noises, wait a minute. She instinctively raises her brow. Just minutes ago, he confidently said he would protect her. But now the one running away from that long-necked monster is him. Chaos at the scene. The monster arches its neck, extending beyond the scattered tables and chairs, trying to bite his leg. He quickly pulls his leg back, begging for mercy. But soon he realizes his back is against the wall, a dead end. Jai-Sin wildly swings his sword. "Don't come here," I said. "Don't come here." Out of options, he closes his eyes tightly and desperately yells, taking a reckless chance. He swings his sword in a curve. The monster's head, connected to its long neck, tilts to the side to dodge. Then, as he opens his eyes, it throws its head to the other side and uses it to strike his back, knocking him down. Jai-Sin falls face first. Under. So Tron's watchful eyes, he groans and pushes himself up. So Tron squints one eye teasingly. Does he even know anything about swordsmanship? Could it be that this guy is not an exorcist? While she was puzzled, thinking like an ordinary human, where would she get this sword from? The monster was standing there leisurely, pulling its head and tilting it toward So Tron. Seeing the urgent situation and unable to do anything, he shouted hopelessly. The monster quickly lunged at her, but at that moment he blocked it with his sword, surprising her. Zia blocked its jaws with the sword, then he pushed it away using his own sword. He shouted, "Your opponent is right here." In response, its huge hand grabbed his face. As his vision blurred, he squinted and swung the sword, slashing its arm. It screamed in agony. Its arm was severed and fell near him. Jai-Sin was horrified, stunned for a moment. Damn, it's tied up with its arm cut off now. He turned to her, forced to justify his actions. "You saw it too, right? That monster pushed me too far, so I had to defend myself." Although she didn't understand what defend myself meant. She pointed toward the monster. "I don't know what the heck you're talking about." Turning back to look, what hit his eyes was its arm burning away his arm. Shocked, he looked up at the monster. By then, its arm had disappeared completely. Moments later, its arm regrew just as a pale purple aura surrounded it. Sensing imminent danger, he quickly stepped back. Jai-Sin took a second to assess the situation, no harm done. He looked at the monster. Clearly, he saw its arm fall off. But by then, its hair had grown long strands. Its hair bundled up and ran toward the missing arm, wrapping thick black strands all over its arm. Somehow it had grown bigger. Its hair hung down over its eyes. It bared its teeth threateningly. The creature now took up half the room. He widened his eyes at its body, then muttered under his breath, "This damn thing just transformed." Just as he was confused, searching for a way to deal with it. So Tron whispered in his ear, "This is its variant." Her whisper hadn't fully reached his eardrum yet. Jai-Sin turned around. "Huh? You know?" So Tron clarified monsters can't increase their real body size by themselves. She looked sternly at it. "Everything you're seeing now is just an illusion created by its demonic aura. So no matter how much damage you cause to its variant, it won't solve the problem." So Cho looked at the monster, now moving its head side to side, its huge jaws showing. She said the real body must be hiding somewhere inside that demonic aura. That's the primary target to attack. He quietly repeated her words, "The real body." Seeing the sweat smeared nervously on his face, she knew what he was thinking. So Tron then asked, "You don't know any martial arts, do you?" Jai-Sin grunted. "No," she responded. "Someone who doesn't know martial arts like you. Where did you get that sword?" The strange phrase from her lips startled Jai-Sin awake. He looked at his sword in surprise. At that moment in his eyes, it looked like a stick. "What did you just call this stick?" So Tron sighed softly. "Are you here just to find your own death?" Sensing her discouragement, he quickly protested and explained, "Don't say that. I just didn't expect things to get this dangerous, threatening my life." Hearing that, her eyebrows slightly raised. "So what exactly did you come here for? Where did you get the confidence to enter here so boldly?" Under her intense questioning, he mumbled, "Actually, I came here to find someone." She widened her eyes in surprise. "Find someone here? No way!" Before she could finish, the monster took advantage of his distraction and grabbed him with its hand. At that moment, she spread her butterfly wings in panic. "Watch out!" As the monster's hand was about to sever his brain, So Cho quickly pushed him away, and they both fell down. For some reason, an overwhelming anger surged inside her. She shouted, "What the hell do you think you're doing looking for someone in this place?" Frustrated, she unleashed a stream of clever and heartfelt words. "So what happens when you find them? Your name has no strength at all. Are you trying to find someone to bury with you so you're not lonely? Before he could recover, he was scolded harshly. Jae-sin was stunned. She just saved my life and now she's cursing me. The strange human language made her hold back the curse for a moment. Just 1 second of cursing was enough for that monster to pounce on her. Jae-sin grabbed his shoulder and pulled her away quickly. At that moment, their positions switched. This time, he was on top of her. He looked at the monster and admitted that she was right. I know what you said is true. Hearing it from someone else makes me feel even more foolish for what I'm doing. So, Tron slowly wondered then, why did he shake his head? I don't really know either. He silently recalled the scene of the ruined house engulfed in flames. The heat from the memory overwhelmed him. I went through a terrible ordeal back then. I should have died at that time, but at the moment between life and death, I felt that even if I died, it wouldn't matter anymore. It was just a little unfair because I hadn't met that person yet. From her perspective, Jae-sin looked up at him and affirmed somewhere deep in my subconscious, I feel that person is the final piece to solve all my questions. So no matter if I lose my life in this lifetime, I must find that person. He spoke every word clearly. If fate has already decided, then why should I run away? His answer stunned her. She shifted her pupils aside, gradually clearing the fog of memory as a long-haired person haunted her. The other person reached out and in that dark voice spoke. So Tron's 3 of them were silent for a long time. That was just enough time for Jae-sin to realize her position was a little off. He hurriedly apologized. Sorry, I didn't mean to. He quickly stood up and grabbed the sword in his hand firmly, saying, Anyway, first we have to survive this, then we'll figure out the rest. She sat up still without a word coming from her mouth. Now both faced the monster. He strained his eyes, his nerves busy dealing with the situation ahead. We have to find its true form, but it looks so huge it's really difficult. Jesse looked at its massive body, thinking if we confront it directly, we'll definitely be killed in a heartbeat. If we trick it when it's careless to escape, that's the best plan. We have to decide quickly. I don't have much time left. So Tron's voice caught his attention. She calmly signaled, Leave it to me. What are you so full of? She casually stepped out from his protection, wanting to buy more time to find its true form, right? She took a hairpin from her black hair since there was no pin to fasten it anymore. Her loose black hair fluttered before his eyes. She held both ends of the golden hairpin. The other end glowed faintly. The light gradually moved to the other end of the hairpin. Butterfly wings unfolded. The hairpin transformed into a long, sharp sword. Calmly, she stepped forward. I will help you. Lady Sotron Kyujim, her hair flowing firmly, holding the sword in her hand. There's no denying she's no longer the old Sotron because I also have a reason to leave this place. Sotron held the hairpin facing the monster, shielding Jae-sin behind him. Surprised, he watched her pull out the hairpin like a lightsaber. She turned back and told him, Let me help you buy time. Seeing it ready to attack, Sotron panicked and warned, Watch out, something is flying fast, accompanied by a loud noise. She moved swiftly, flipping in the air, her feet lightly touching the ceiling. Then Sotron took a leap down. She immediately dashed forward, quickly gliding while the monster was still staring at Jae-sin. Not paying attention, her arm suddenly shone. She used the hairpin to pierce it in one strike. Seeing this scene, he couldn't help but be surprised. Seeing Sotron tear apart part of the monster left him speechlessly shocked. She didn't care, just urged focus on it. Hurry up and identify its true form's location. She shouted seriously towards him, Unless you attack its true form, it will keep regenerating the damaged parts. As soon as she finished speaking, the monster's body began to regenerate. He was stunned, unable to believe it could regenerate. Watching. Sotron continually confronted. Jae-sin was confused and deeply thoughtful. What exactly is its true form, and where should he look for it now? Suddenly he froze, thinking of something, recalling the stone wall with the mysterious blue flame drawing. He vaguely guessed maybe that was the time. Jae-sin lowered his face carefully, recalling his hand unconsciously grasped the glasses clipped to his shirt. Then he hurriedly shouted, I remember now. This made So-Cho suspicious. She turned around to look. Jae-sin eagerly showed the glasses and said it seemed he had seen its true form while wearing these magical glasses. She was puzzled and slightly doubtful. Magical glasses. Then she turned back to fight the monster, not forgetting to remind him, Do whatever you want, just hurry and find it. Hearing that, he immediately put on the magical glasses. Meanwhile, Sotron faced the black strands of hair coming from it. With just a few magic spells she cast, those strands instantly turned into dust. She mercilessly cut off the monster's hair. This action successfully angered it. As it was pushed back, Jae-sin moved behind it, focusing on its feet. He remembered seeing something at its feet and immediately thought of a plan. He tried to approach it, hoping to spot something. Seeing a small flame burning at the monster's feet, he seriously realized this was it. Ji-Sin loudly announced the important news to her. I know where its true form is hiding. So Tron was unhappy with how he announced it. That idiot, why shout for the whole village to hear? Only then did he notice it had seen him. Ji-Sin froze in embarrassment. She worriedly flew up cautiously. The monster suddenly stopped still, then black strands began to sprout from its shoulder. It directly charged at Tron to stop her from acting. She couldn't react in time and was hit surrounded by those strands. Oh no, she got tangled by it. Panicked, she shouted quickly, "Attack it!" Then the monster bound her into a black mass. Only now did Ji-Sin panic and realize did it swallow her. He angrily gritted his teeth and cursed it. He grabbed his magic wand, aiming straight at its foot. No more hesitation, just attack. As Ji-Sin charged to attack, a girl's face appeared from its body, surprising him. The tear-streaked, desperate girl called out, "Uncle, listen to this." His face turned pale, fearfully looking on. Suddenly he felt a sharp pain. Ji-Sin looked down at its belly in confusion. While he was caught off guard, it attacked his stomach. Then the monster brutally threw him aside. It pushed Tron with one hand while fighting him with the other. Ji-Sin was thrown backward. He could only use his body to stop himself. He was desperate and in pain at the same time. Tears uncontrollably streamed down his cheeks. He screamed in anguish as his wand dropped awkwardly on the floor. All of Ji-Sin's focus was on that wand. The monster kept calling out, "Uncle!" He helplessly reached out, thinking, "I dropped it." It eagerly launched black strands, suspiciously asking, "Auntie?" He was terrified. "It's over." Then all the strands rushed toward him. While Ji-Sin waited for a call from his ancestors, he felt nothing. He opened his eyes suspiciously. Dying without pain. Seeing what was before him, he was astonished, eyes wide open. The ordinary wand was now surrounded by a strange, magical aura. He marveled at this miraculous scene. The wand unleashed powerful energy, cutting through all the monster's strands. It was suppressed by the staff and angrily kept attacking, but all attacks were blocked. Ji-Sin cautiously observed the staff with suspicion. What is happening? At that moment, the staff started to tilt and violently struck, directly cutting off what was binding Tron's tightly wound hair, gradually loosening the bonds and revealing her dazed inside. She was freed and gently placed one foot on the uneven ground. She clenched the wand tightly. Her whole body lightly descended like a feather. The magic from the staff tore open a section of the monster's body. When the staff flew through it, it left a hole behind. The staff kept moving. Wherever it passed, the monster gained another hole. Tron silently witnessed everything and inferred the sword can move on its own. She looked at Ji-Sin again and guessed, is it protecting him? From the monster's body, that voice kept echoing, "Uncle La. Uncle, uncle!" He was speechless with fear, recalling the first time it fell on the monster. He also realized that at that moment, the staff didn't just randomly fall. Even though he didn't know what it was now, he was starting to feel scared. Afraid of it now. Don't accidentally fly over here. The monster kept calling out, "Uncle, uncle!" Suddenly, the sword dashed toward him. Ji-Sin shouted in fear, but when he saw it stop, he was a bit confused, realizing it wasn't harming him. He gritted his teeth and said, "That scared me." The monster still refused to give up. "Uncle, uncle, uncle, uncle." He hesitated and guessed, "Is it over?" But it still put on a pitiful act. "Uncle, uncle, uncle, uncle?" He watched its body continuously swell. Ji-Sin concluded it seems the angrier it gets, the bigger it becomes. It kept calling, "Uncle, uncle." He only thought constantly about its core at its foot. "I must hit its core." But he still hesitated, then heard it say, "Uncle." He felt reluctant just looking at that tortured, crying face. Then the sword made some sounds, attracting Ji-Sin's attention. He was puzzled and didn't understand what it wanted to convey. As soon as he grabbed it, he felt a strong force pulling him away. "Calm down." It didn't give him time to think. It decisively dragged him off. Ji-Sin panicked and shouted, "I told you to calm down!" He tried to stop it, telling it not to do that. This action made Tron feel he was quite foolish. What is this guy trying to do? And yet he still couldn't stop it. He was dragged along his whole body, flying straight to the monster. Helpless, he only knew how to shout, "Stop!" The two sides violently collided. Dust and debris flew everywhere. When the dust slowly settled, she saw him lying unconscious on the ground. She cautiously stepped forward, and as Tron carefully approached to check him, she noticed a small object lying beside Ji-Sin. When she looked closely, she saw a small dog, entirely black, with a bell tied to its leg. A dog. After some time in a coma, Ji-Sin suddenly calmly opened his eyes wide. A pain swept over him, and he groaned in distress. "It hurts!" He looked around in confusion. It seemed he had just dreamed a rather chaotic dream. When he saw Tron, he immediately understood it's not a dream anymore. Remembering the monster, Ji-Sin jumped up. "That's right." "What about the demon?" she calmly replied. It's already vanished. Hearing this answer, he couldn't believe it. What? How is that possible? She said indifferently. That sacred sword. Observing the sword on the floor, she curiously asked, Where did you get it from? He hesitated. The sword. He awkwardly recounted the situation. I just happened to pick it up in the new house we moved into. So Tron silently listened carefully, then delivered shocking news. The sword's power completely overwhelmed that demon. Jae-sin was surprised to hear that. His astonished tone echoed throughout the illuminated mansion. No way. He pointed at the protective talisman and asked confusedly, Is that thing lying here the demon? He quickly accepted it. Without the illusions, it really doesn't look special, does it? So Tron looked at him gently and reminded, This creature is not an ordinary demon. He is a god. Her eyes fixed tightly on the bell tied around his ankle. She doubted, thinking silently, a bell. Recalling the monster's hideous face, would I dare to believe in gods? Then what exactly is the illusion? It created a demon or a god. She observed the guardian deity carefully and immediately confirmed, no, even if it's not a god, this creature definitely isn't a demon. At this point, Jae-sin was confused and didn't know what to do. So Tron, equally helpless, said, I'm not sure either. She reached out and pulled a jade hairpin from its body. She brought it before him, leaving him stunned. He was shocked and asked, A hairpin? She carefully cherished it. Yes, but this jade hairpin was broken at the end. So Tron showed him the broken part. Jae-sin lifted her leg to reveal the jade fragments underneath. So those pieces of stone I stepped on earlier belong to this jade hairpin. She remained silent and gently blew on the hairpin. A thin, misty smoke drifted from the hairpin, spreading until it blanketed the area in white. The smoke gradually transformed into the silhouette of a girl. That was the original form of the monster. She smiled gently. Jae-sin was shocked and immediately stepped back. He stared in amazement, carefully observing her. That was the little demon from before. At that moment, the monster flew in and merged into So Tron's body. He was horrified, mouth agape. She had been possessed. It successfully took control of her body. Her eyes looked off into the distance. Her gaze deepened. Memories suddenly flooded back. The man gripped the hairpin tightly and shouted, Let go immediately! Someone like you doesn't need such a luxury. It begged repeatedly, Sir, please don't do this. This is my mother's relic. Please return it to me. It cried and bit his hand desperately. Angrily, he slapped it across the face. Return it to a wretch like you never. The monster held onto the hairpin but lost balance and fell into the abyss. The man watched helplessly as it fell into the chasm and was swallowed whole. In the depths, tears blurred the monster's eyes. Blood poured from its mouth. Its bruised hand still clutched the jade hairpin. A warm stream of blood flowed from its body. It died there. Time passed and the jade hairpin was buried under rocks. She quietly stood beside the stones, examining the hairpin. She just bowed her head silently, observing everything in front of her. Behind her, a bald man spoke, calling out to the young lady. The bald man sneered in a vile tone. Why is this young lady wandering around so late at night? If you don't have anywhere to stay, you can come to my house. The bald man stepped forward slowly. Hearing this, she slowly turned her head as traces of her past death began to appear. Did this lord also want to steal the jade hairpin? So Tron held the jade hairpin with both hands in her mind. She closed her eyes, allowing those memories to permeate her mind. She pressed the jade hairpin with both hands. The monster's soul appeared in response to her actions. It smiled gently with satisfaction, then relaxed its body. It took a deep breath. Then its soul transformed into rays of light that soared upward. Dia, bewildered, looked out. Was that just a ghost? So Cho answered calmly, Yes, that young lady's soul resides in the jade hairpin. Hearing this, he fell silent, lost in thought. Ms. Van rubbed the hairpin in her hand and recounted, The young lady was chased by a rough man. While fleeing, she was pushed into the abyss during the escape. It seems she wanted to protect the precious relic left by her mother, the jade hairpin. She felt some sorrow and sighed, so pitiful. So Tron retracted the hairpin and glanced back. The guardian deity of this creature was pierced by the jade hairpin for some reason, allowing the young lady's soul to control it. There's also the possibility someone used this hairpin as a weapon, Jae-sin asked confusedly right away. How do you know about those things? Suddenly she asked him a question. Why did you do that? He was confused and didn't understand what to do.